Good morning, everyone. Welcome to BYJU'S exam prep. My name is Alpa Sharma, and this is our daily editorial analysis. Can you hear and see me clearly, everybody on the app and YouTube? Good morning, Ragini, Mahita, Ritik. Good morning, everyone else on YouTube. Am I clearly visible and audible? Yes, all right. Clearly visible and audible on YouTube as well. If you could quickly confirm that. Good morning, everyone. Very good morning. Yes, audible and visible on YouTube as well. So 19th of January, and I've taken one article from the Hindu, and isme I had taken one article and I had made the class yesterday in the evening, but then in the morning I actually changed the whole article. I took something else in the morning, another article from the Hindu that we're going to discuss today. I'll tell you why have I taken that article. But apart from that article that I've taken from the Hindu, I've taken one article from the Indian Express as well. So this is what we're going to do today. I have a splitting headache today, so we'll try to be as active as possible. But if it just gets out of my control, then I'm going to wind up the class the moment I think I am unable to teach. So let me take you through a few things. You guys know that every day we have the editorial analysis of most of the newspapers that I do morning 10 a.m. But apart from that, about the rest of the paper for the GK, Rabia ma'am has started a series at 11 a.m. on our app. It's not on YouTube, it's on our app. It's a bilingual session where she will help you analyze the entire newspaper and the GK related to it. So make sure you attend this session as well, apart from attending this one, which is going to be a very important session for you. Apart from this, if you're targeting MHCT, ALET, SLAT, BLET, JAMIA, these law entrance examinations, our batch 2 for these law entrance examinations has recently been launched and the classes have already started. So make sure you enroll yourself at the earliest for this batch, and don't miss out on these articles. Yes, Arshita, I could not check it, but I was just very occupied yesterday. I'll check it today. Okay, thank you so much. I'll check it today. All right, so that is about our MHCT, ALET, SLAT, BLET, JAMIA batch. Apart from that, our first crash course has been launched. So people who are targeting CLAT 22, first crash course launch हो गया है. Late नहीं करो, आपके पास बहुत ही कम, barely 3 months, 3.5 months बचे हैं CLAT 22 की preparation के लिए. तो जल्दी से enroll करोगे, जितना जल्दी enroll करोगे उतना benefit में रहोगे. इसलिए जल्दी से enroll कर लो इस batch के लिए. और अगर सारे subject नहीं पढ़ने, सिर्फ legal affairs और current events पढ़ने हैं, तो लीगल अफेयर्स और करंट इवेंट्स का बूस्टर कोर्स बैच नंबर 2 है आपके लिए, जहां निवेदिता मैम और अभिमन्यु सर आपको लीगल अफेयर्स और करंट इवेंट्स पढ़ाएंगे. तो अगर ये दोनों सब्जेक्ट आपका टारगेट है तो ये बैच आपके लिए है. एंड लास्ट नॉट लीस्ट, इफ यू टारगेटिंग क्लास 2023, latest batch 7 has been launched. I'll be teaching in this batch as well. और इसकी कुछ क्लासेस हो चुकी हैं. इनफैक्ट मेरे सब्जेक्ट में 2 क्लासेस हो चुकी हैं और भी क्लासेस अगले वीक होगी, इसलिए मिस मत करो, जल्दी से आ जाओ. बहुत सारे इंपॉर्टेंट क्लासेस नहीं तो आप मिस कर दोगे. Now that was about our programs. Okay, and yes, Ahana, yes, okay. I'll do that, Shivani. Okay, or all right, anybody else? Okay, here we go. ठीक है. गुड मॉर्निंग एवरीवन हु जॉइन मी लेट. क्लास में क्या करेंगे, कोट ऑफ द डे लेंगे जो आप देंगे मुझे. ठीक है, 3 क्वेश्चंस रिवाइज करेंगे कल के वोकैबुलरी में से थ्रू वन वर्ड सब्स्टिट्यूशन. विल टेक अप 2 आर्टिकल्स, विल do a detailed discussion on them. We'll talk about a lot of things today. We'll take out the entire vocabulary from these 2 articles and try to memorize them, which we're going to revise tomorrow. And in the end, you're going to tell me the tone of the author for each article. You could write down the summary of each article under my video in the comment section. I'll check all of them. If there's anything else that you would want to communicate with me, I'll check that as well. So you could write that under my video. और लास्ट में हम देखेंगे आज के न्यूज़पेपर में से क्या क्या इंपॉर्टेंट है जो पढ़ना जरूरी है from both the newspapers, Hindu and Indian Express. So that is the agenda of the class. Now let's see who's bought the quote of the day. When things change inside you, things also change around you accordingly. Yes, certainly. People change, so the environment changes. Yes, a man is not poor without money, but a man is really poor without a dream and ambition. बहुत बिल्कुल appropriate quote है वैभव, and I absolutely abide by that. So yesterday in one of my classes, somebody asked me कि मैम आपने इतने cities क्यों change किए? आपकी family का क्या job था? क्या job करते थे आपके parents? And then I actually made it clear that कि कोई ऑफिसर थे या कोई गवर्नमेंट सर्वेंट थे, आपका फाइनेंशियल स्टेटस कभी भी ये डिटरमाइन नहीं करता है कि आप कहाँ लैंड अप करते हैं, ओके, और आप कितना सक्सेसफुल हो सकते हैं लाइफ में. ये बात याद रखना, बिकॉज आई सी अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल कमिंग टू मी एंड टेलिंग मी दैट मैम ये एनएलयूज बहुत एक्सपेंसिव है, एंड अगर हम लैंड अप भी कर जाते हैं तो हम शायद अफोर्ड नहीं कर पाते. आई बी ऑनेस्ट हियर, आपका फाइनेंशियल स्टेटस एक्चुअली ये डिटरमाइन नहीं करता कि आप कितने सक्सेसफुल होते हैं लाइफ में, बिल्कुल भी नहीं करता. ओके, सो आई होप दैट मेक्स सेंस टू एवरीबडी. यस, yes, Ragini, I'll do that by the end of the class. Also, video team, could you, by the end of the class, please share the link of our law down discussion group here, because a lot of people want to join that. Okay, let's start with the revision. By the time my video team shares the link here. A long and arduous search for something. Is it hitherto, quest, utilitarian, or lure? What is it? Why 3, Vopsy? If you're okay doing that, I don't mind that. I am certainly not okay waking up at 3. Okay, so आज मुझे बहुत headache हो रहा है. Okay, the answer here is Arshita, I did, my child. You have an example in front of you. The answer is B. It is quest. It is quest. Certainly. Yes, yes, Mahita, Shivam, Ragini, all are correct. The answer is quest. Correct. Let's move to the next question as a revision. Engage in a close fight or struggle without weapons or wrestle. Is it cohabiting? Is it anthropomorphism? Is it exponential? Is it grappling? What is it? What is our answer here? यूटिलिटेरियन, राजावत शाम. यूटिलिटी पे जो डिपेंड करता है, जो अटमोस्ट हैप्पीनेस, जो भी चीज आपको हैप्पीनेस देती है वो जस्टिफाइड है. अगर ये व्यू रखता है कोई तो वो यूटिलिटेरियन व्यू रखता है. ओके, क्रैपलिंग. यस, द आंसर इज क्रैपलिंग हियर फॉर श्योर. कोहैबिटिंग नहीं है. कोहैबिटिंग इज कोऑर्डिनेशन में साथ में रहना, exist mutually together is cohabiting, whereas the answer here is grappling. Yes. Okay, let's move to the next one. The answer is grappling. Relating to deep inward feelings rather than the intellect. Is it verdant, visceral, whine, or hanker? What is it? Yes, 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 Vaibhav, right. क्या होगा आंसर? Hanker? No, it's visceral. It is visceral. It's visceral. Yeah, correct. It's B, visceral. Okay. So that was our answer for this revision. Now let's start with vocabulary from today's class. Lots of new words. Make sure you take a screenshot for each slide because we'll learn a lot of new stuff today. Complacency is being satisfied with what you have achieved or what you have. So can I say you should be complacent with your mock scores? Never. You cannot be complacent with your mock scores. You should aim or strive for higher and higher. So complacency is a feeling of being satisfied with whatever you've achieved, whatever you have right now is complacency. That satisfaction is complacency. The figures are better, but there are no grounds for complacency. अगर हम इकोनॉमी की बात करें तो ये सेंटेंस बिल्कुल अप्रोप्रिएट है कि इकोनॉमी में हमको लग रहा है इंप्रूव हो रही है चीजें, जीडीपी थोड़ा बेटर हो गया है, बट देयर आर नो ग्राउंड्स फॉर कॉम्प्लिसेंसी बिकॉज हम सेटिस्फाई होकर नहीं बैठ सकते कि ठीक है हमारा इकोनॉमी बहुत अच्छा हो गया है ना. द नेक्स्ट वन, केवीट. ये आप सबको पता होगा एज लॉ एस्पिरेंट्स, ये सारे कॉमर्स स्टूडेंट्स को भी पता होगा. केवीट एम्प्टोर, केवीट वेंडिटर, ये वर्ड्स हमने पढ़े थे. सो केवीट इज बेसिकली अ, डू आई सपोर्ट कैपिटलिज्म? यार मैं किसको सपोर्ट करती हूँ छोड़ दो. आई डोंट वांट टू इन्फ्लुएंस यू गाइज इन एनी मैनर हियर. ठीक है? ओके, So what is Kevitemptor? Let the what beware? Kevit is a warning, a beacon. Yes. Kevitemptor is let the buyer beware. Kevit venditor is let the Kevit venditor और Kevit subscriptor दोनों सिमिलर होता है. ठीक है. Kevit venditor, Kevit subscriptor. Let the seller beware. ठीक है. Can you guys give me an example of let the seller beware? बायर बिवेयर तो हमको पता है एक्सपायरी डेट देख के लेनी चाहिए चीजें, इंग्रेडिएंट्स पढ़ के लेनी चाहिए चीजें, पर सेलर के लिए क्या वार्निंग हो सकती है? सेलर के लिए क्या वार्निंग होगी, कौन बताएगा? केविट वेंडिटर में सेलर है. व्हाट वार्निंग फॉर अ सेलर? एनीबडी? यस ऋतिक, यू राइट, सेलर बिवेयर. बट सेलर के लिए क्या वार्निंग हो सकती है? एनीवन? एनी सजेशंस? Kevitemptor is let the buyer beware. मेडिसिन्स. यस करेक्ट दिवजोत, करेक्ट. आप करेक्ट मेडिसिन दे रहे हो, आप गलत नहीं दे रहे हो. फ्रॉड. यस करेक्ट. मिस इंटरप्रिटेशन, मिस रिप्रेजेंटेशन. यस. पेमेंट रिलेटेड. करेक्ट. यस. फ्रॉड. ये सब हो जाता है. करेक्ट. एब्सोल्युटली राइट. ओके. नॉट टू सेल मोर देन MRP. ये सब है. ओके. Renegade is basically any person who betrays. So he's like a traitor. He may betray his religion. He may betray his country. He may betray. So basically, people who oppose. Okay. So he betrays an organization. He could be called a renegade. An agent who later turns out to be renegade, basically somebody who was a traitor or who betrayed, is a renegade. Okay. Then we have parochialism. Parochial क्या होता है? Parochial होता है बहुत ही narrow minded होना. इस parochial. So उस ideology को parochialism बोलते हैं. Accusation of parochialism बहुत narrow minded होना, open नहीं होना, रूढ़िवादी होना is parochialism. Okay? Traitor for renegade बिल्कुल बोल सकते हो. Someone who goes to the other side, yes, can also be a renegade. Now it could not necessarily mean कि वो बीट्रे करते हैं, वो अपने पार्टी में चेंज कर सकते हैं. ओके. इलेक्शन कैंडिडेट्स. एंटी डिफेक्शन. यस राइट. यस राजा वच्छामी, यू राइट. ओके. विसल ब्लोअर को भी बोल सकते हो आप, बिल्कुल बोल सकते हो. खुशी, आप रेनिगेट. यस, वो बेसिकली ऑर्गेनाइजेशन तो उनको रेनिगेट ही मानेगा ना. राइट. ओके. ऑलराइट. ओके. पेरोकिलिज्म के लिए पिटी माइंडेड, ऑर्थोडॉक्स, बिल्कुल करेक्ट हो गया. कंजर्वेटिव, स्टीरियोटाइप, प्रेजुडिस्ड, बिल्कुल करेक्ट. ये सारे सिनोनिम हो गए पेरोकिलिज्म के. लेट्स मूव टू द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड. स्लाइड नंबर 1. जल्दी से सब स्क्रीनशॉट ले लो और जल्दी से सब ना एक छोटी सी प्रेयर बोल दो, whoever you believe in, कि मेरा हेडेक जल्दी से ठीक हो जाए, नहीं तो ये क्लास मुझे आधी बीच में छोड़नी पड़ेगी. इट्स गेटिंग टेरिबल नाउ. स्लाइड नंबर 2 एवरीवन. हार्बर. तो एक हार्बर तो हुआ जो आप शिप का हार्बर बोलते हैं, बट वो हार्बर यहाँ डिस्कस करेंगे. अपने माइंड में कोई थॉट रखना और उसमें फर्मली बिलीव करना इज हार्बरिंग दैट थॉट. शी स्टार्टेड टू हार्बर डाउट्स. उसके दिमाग में डाउट्स घर करने लग गए. दे स्टार्टेड मेकिंग टेकिंग अ प्लेस in the mind. So basically any thought that comes into the mind is harboring that. So she started to harbor doubts about the wisdom of their journey, if the journey was full of wisdom or not. There were doubts about that. So it harbored doubts. Okay? Easy? All right. Complacency फिर से समझाओ. Complacency बेटा, मैं महीने के 100 रुपए कमा रही हूँ, मैं खुश हूँ, मैं मुझे और नहीं चाहिए, मैं 100 रुपीज पर मंथ में खुश हूँ. ये जो सेटिस्फैक्शन है मन में, दैट्स कॉम्प्लिसेंसी. मेरे मॉक में 80 आ रहे हैं, 90 आ रहे हैं, आई एम हैप्पी, आई एम कॉम्प्लिसेंट, आई एम सेटिस्फाइड, आई डोंट नीड एनीथिंग एल्स. मुझे ये 80-90 में पॉसिबली, क्योंकि मुझे NLU जाना ही नहीं है, तो आई एम हैप्पी विद 80-90, है ना. दैट्स कॉम्प्लिसेंसी. ओके. ऑलराइट. हार्बर कैन बी मूरिंग. Yes, it could be nurture. Yes, mooring is a related word, not an exact synonym, but it's a related word. Okay. No, Lakshmi, pious not for renegade. No. That's actually not a synonym. Okay. All right. So let's move to the next one. Blasphemy for renegade बोल सकते हो. थोड़ा डिग्री हायर हो जाता है blasphemy का शेफी सिर्फ, otherwise वो हो सकता है. Okay, now let's move on. Yes, Sudhansh, very good sentence. Very good sentence. Modus operandi, modus vivendi, बहुत सारे modus आपने पढ़े होंगे, ठीक है? अब इसको ब्रेक करके देखते हैं. modus का मतलब क्या होता है? जहां जहां आपने जैसे हमने कैवीट पढ़ा, तो कैवीट वेंडेटर, कैवीट सब्सक्रिप्टर. वैसे modus का क्या मीनिंग होता है? हम्म Okay, so modus is basically a mode, a methodology. Okay, vivendi, it means your thoughts. So basically, a methodology that's used to bring people on a consensus where they disagree with each other. That procedure is called way of doing something. Yes, that is modus, right? A way of doing something. Ragini, got that, bache? Yes, yes. Thank you for reminding me. I'll do that. A method of doing something. And vivendi is basically thoughts. Okay, so when you when there are conflicting parties and then you decide to bring them on the same page, make them agree with each other, that is modus vivendi. The two states have with difficulty reached a modus vivendi through a though hardly friendship. कि friendship तो नहीं हुई है, but ठीक है, same page पे आ गए. They are on the same page because they are agreeing with each other finally, though they are not friends. That is modus vivendi. Okay. Now see, this word isn't there in today's articles because initially I had taken some other article, the one on China and Europe feud, but at the last moment I changed my article. I've pasted another article which I'm going to discuss today, and you're going to love that article, I'm sure. The next word is eschew. We've done this word multiple times in the past. So basically, to abstain, stay away from something is eschew. He appealed to the crowd to eschew violence, stay away from violence. So many synonyms to eschew. Who's going to tell me that? Meeting of minds, Arshita? Yes, you could say that. A mediation. Yes, Karthik. Mediation is modus vivendi. Correct. So, give me synonyms to eschew, anyone? The farmers and the government reached a kind of modus vivendi. Yes, though not friends yet. But you are absolutely right, Tanishka, with your example. Though not friends, but they reached on an agreement. Dissuade, yes, correct. Shunned, related word. Dodge, avoid, abstain, yes. Abandon, yes. Abnegate, abdicate, any one of these two? Abjure, okay. Forgo, yes, correct. All are synonyms to it, correct. Let's move on with the dodge, escape, all are synonyms. The last one, leverage, or basically when you have the power to influence somebody, okay, that is your leverage. Industry consolidation has raised costs by giving healthcare systems leverage. They've given them advantage. They've given them the power to influence others. So when you have a power, when you have advantage over others, that's the leverage. Okay, leverage over something. Usually we follow it with the preposition over. So you have leverage over something. That means you have an advantageous position. You can influence people, influence any decision making. That's the leverage. Slide number 2, everyone. Quickly take a screenshot. Okay. Yes, renouncing. Yes, Tanishka. That could be a synonym to eschew. It could be. Annihilate could also be. Yes, Ashmita. Yes, Anjali. Exactly. Yes, Hemendra. That is another meaning. Yes. Make the full use of something is leverage. Yes. Bolster. Bolster. Not exactly. Okay. No, I will not, Rishabh. I will not. Because I'll tell you why did I change that article. The other article that I've chosen looks more like something that can come as a reading comprehension. And the history of that whole Russia and the whole debate with China and everything that's happening, it's more of a GK oriented one. So I've taken the one that's more important as a reading comprehension. Okay. Yes, exactly, Arshita. Correct. Cohabitating is correct. Okay, let's move to the last slide. Salience. Salient features, important ones, noticeable ones that you could just pinpoint. That is salience. Okay. The political salience of religion has a considerable impact. The things that are noticeable, that are important, that can be pointed out are the salient features maybe, or anything that's salience. So political salience, something that can be pointed out. Blockade, number 2, is anything that's an obstacle. Okay, so they voted to lift the blockade of major railway junctions, the blockade on roads because of the farmers' protest. Anything that's an obstacle can be a blockade. It could be a literal physical obstacle. It could be a mental obstacle, mental blockade as well. It does not literally mean something physically is stopping you. It can be something mentally as well. Okay. Discretion for leverage. Lakshmi related, but not an exact synonym. Okay. So Ali, that is exactly why I did not take that, because if you know about the history, there was not a much of reading to be done. And since Rabia ma'am will do that for you, I took an article where a reading comprehension could be framed. Apparent could be salient. Yes, it could be. Impasse, very good, Sham. It has to be a synonym to blockade. Stalemate, a synonym to blockade. Absolutely correct. Stalemate and impasse, a deadlock. Stymied, yes, Hemendra. Okay. Hindrance, impediment, all of these are synonyms. So many of them. Okay. Let's move on. Hindrance for blockade. Diplomatic. Okay. So you are diplomatic. That means you know what to say, where to say. You know the tact of speaking. That is diplomatic. So diplomatic relations, being appropriate, right, where, what to say. He tried his best to be diplomatic here. That is what diplomatic means. Giving a diplomatic answer, okay, to questions, not being outright, but being saying what is expected out of you is diplomatic here. Okay, now contemporary kya hota hai? Who is a contemporary? Who is a contemporary? Challenge next door. What is it about? I haven't read that, Anjali, yet. What is it about? Neutral, bol sakte ho. Tactic, bol sakte ho. Yes, Ali, right. Correct. Who is a contemporary? Okay. एक ही time पे exist करना. Yes. At the same time. So, contemporaneity, it basically means existing at the same period of time. Present day. It could be present day modern as well. Because it is existing at the same time as you are. That becomes contemporary. Coexisting can be contemporary. Okay. Slide number 3. Take a screenshot, everybody. Okay, I'll take that, Anjali. Done. Done deal. Let's move on to the article now, guys. Supremely interesting. I loved reading that. So, Ramchandra Guha. I'm sure you have either read books by him or you've heard of his name at least. At least you law aspirants would have. Okay. So, this article talks about an extract from one of his books and talks about few of the renegades, people who were believed to change parties. But how? Political parties? No. Certainly not a political one. There was one political line in this article which I missed, which I omitted, because I think that's not relevant for you and I. So I just omitted that line. Everything else is supremely important. Let's talk about a few people here through this article and let's understand what is the implication of his book, how beautifully he talks about the history of our country and why you should be reading at least one of his books. Okay, so here we go. Yes, yes, yes. Exactly, Ali. Yes. So, still speaking of Indians today, his book, his extract still speaks of us. How is it still valid today? Let's understand that, although it's an old book. If Annie Besant promoted the emancipation of women in a deeply patriarchal society, the first example, Annie Besant. What did she do? She worked for the development of women, the powers of women in a society that was completely patriarchal. B.G. Horniman campaigned tirelessly for the freedom of the press. Again, what is common between these two people? These two people lead to development, lead to equality, and lead to uniformity in the society. Led to, rather. These are two of the 7 brave renegades Ramchandra Guha profiles in his new book. Rebels against the Raj. Raj, अब कैसे देखो ये obviously British Raj के बारे में था. So these were Western fighters. Annie Besant, B.G. Horniman, these were Western fighters, but they fought for India's freedom. So they could be actually called a renegade. है ना? अब कैसे ये आज के टाइम पे applicable? How is it applicable in today's story? We'll look at a parallel story going on. You have to infer that. No single line mentions it clearly. You have to figure out what is the parallel story. How does this story of Annie Besant or maybe B.G. Horniman or maybe multiple other brave renegades who are mentioned in his new book tell us about the time that we are in today? Okay, let me see if you can figure it out. Exactly. Activism. They led to the rights, equal rights for people everywhere. They were foreigners. They were not Indians. Okay. Okay, just a second, guys. Something went wrong. 1 second. All right. So, what unites them, writes Guha, is the courage they displayed in their personal lives, the depth of their commitment to bring equality, and the timelessness of what they did and struggled for. Why is it called timelessness? Why? Who's going to answer that? What is being timeless here? Yes, Hemendra, correct. But apart from that, there is one more thing that's actually a very important thing that you are missing out about Annie Besant. So, देखो, renegade is not a very good word to use, Divjot, understand that. But he is using it to define that how they work for the development of somebody who does not belong to their own religion maybe, or their own community maybe, or their own country maybe. That is why they're called. Exactly. Okay. Okay. A lot of you did not get it. Let me explain this. A lot of you did not get it. यहाँ timeless का मतलब है basically the efforts and the commitment that they showed, and the efforts and the changes that they brought is timeless. There's no time bound to it. We can still see its impact. It is endless. It's timeless. It will stay forever. That is why it's called timeless. Okay? In the way they struggled for. Now, the excerpt from the book. In my country, the rise of nativism and xenophobia in recent decades has been both immense and intense. Okay, xenophobia, we did this word yesterday. You would know this. National, और इसकी बात तो मैं करूंगी ही नहीं. National and especially religious parochialism is rife. Okay, we know that nationalism is at the most highest order today in the country. Although this book has not been written for nativists and xenophobes. ये book उनके बारे में है ही नहीं. I hope that some members of that tribe might read it too. That tribe, which tribe? People who are xenophobes and people who are nativists. So he believes they should also read this book, but this book is not about them at all. For here are 7 quite remarkable individuals, including the 2 people I had mentioned in the beginning, all foreign born, none Indian, all white skinned, none brown, who identified so completely with the Indian aspirations that it is worth mentioning these 7 renegades. Okay? In the course of fighting non-violently for India's liberation, the all 6 that are mentioned, multiple of them were followers of Gandhi ideology, okay, and not multiple, almost all. And the course of fighting non-violently for India's liberation from colonial rule, all were interned and deported by the British. So British obviously deported them, like we have recently seen a deportation of a sports person, deportation for practically not taking drugs. Taking drugs के लिए deportation नहीं हुआ, for not taking drugs he was deported. So it's worth discussing about them. Yet it is not merely as freedom fighters that we should remember them. They not only brought freedom to our country, but they brought a massive change in the society. So remembering them only as freedom fighters, that should not be the only one. Quite apart from what they did in the sphere of politics, they each enriched and enhanced the life of Indian nation in so many different ways. So every single person out of these seven that are mentioned in the book, and I'm sure reading this, you would want to read the book as well. They not only brought freedom to our country, they changed the lives of so many people. Let's briefly rehearse their achievements. एक एक करके एक एक लाइन में सबके achievement देखते हैं और कुछ इंटरेस्टिंग बात भी बताती हूँ आप लोगों को एक के बारे में. Annie Besant promoted the emancipation of women in a deeply patriarchal society. Yes, we read that. She co-founded one of the country's best-known universities. Which one is that, my children? Which one is that? Yes, Novak Djokovic, correct. Which university did she co-founded? They are even social reformers. Yes, Teja Naveen, you're absolutely right. नहीं पता किसी को? काशी हिंदू विश्व नाम सुना है? Have you heard of this name? Kashi Hindu Vishwavidyalaya? Which university am I referring to? Yes. नहीं सुना नाम? Calcutta University? No, it's Banaras Hindu University, BHU. Okay. Yes. Banaras Hindu University, correct. All right. So, and had focused scholarly attention on the culture and civilization of ancient India. Okay. B.G. Honeyman ran one of the finest and bravest newspapers in India. Which newspaper? Which newspaper? Anyone? Yes. Which newspaper? The Mumbai Chronicles. Okay? The Mumbai Chronicles. So he set up. देखो अब आप हमने शायद उनकी history नहीं पढ़ी थी, but then that's equally important. The B.G. Honeyman ran one of the finest and bravest newspapers in India, the Mumbai Chronicles, promoted and encouraged young journalists because he worked on less censorship and less pressurizing on journalists and campaigned tirelessly for the freedom of the press. Samuel, later Satyanand. Also, there were Hindi names for Annie Besant as well. Nonetheless, we'll not talk about that. Samuel, later Satyanand Stokes, helped abolish forced labor in hills before laying the foundation of a horticulture industry, which is still absolutely functioning in Himachal Pradesh. Okay, so he laid the foundation of that. Madeline Slade, later Meeraben, wrote pioneering environmental facts, and by influencing the making of Richard Attenborough's film Gandhi, she influenced the making of the film Gandhi, made the Mahatma's ideas of non-violence and interfaith harmony once more known around the world after the movie was made. Okay, the Mumbai Chronicles, yes. All right, so that was about, बहुत ही random guesses आ गए आपके. कोई Times of India बोल रहा है, कोई क्या बोल रहा है, हिंदू बोल रहा है. हिंदू होता तो हिंदू लिखता ना ये चीज. So that was their achievement. Philip Spratt fought for the rights of workers before campaigning against the license Raj that strangulated the Indian economy. Again, a big achievement for getting freedom to our country. Richard Ralph helped found the rural university as well as a charitable hospital and cultivated dignity and self-reliance among the oppressed. Worked for the equality. अब आप देखो कैसे अलग-अलग लोग, non-Indians, non-browns, they worked for development of people belonging to different areas. Some for women, some for press, some for the oppressed. And how equality, they worked tirelessly for bringing that. Catherine Mary, later Sarlaban, established a pioneering girls' school in one of the most backward regions. Okay, I'll tell you something about her as well. She has tirelessly worked in Rajasthan's Udaipur as well as the Kumaon region, and establishing multiple schools at multiple places, training and nurturing several generations of social workers, most of them aged women, some of whom went on to lead the most celebrated environmental movements, the Chipko Andolan. So that is the kind of contribution they had made. These individuals came to India at different points of time, from widely varying backgrounds with widely varying motivations. Why did they do that? Why did they come to India? Everybody has a different history. Once here, they lived in different parts of the country, some down south, some up in the hills, some in western, some in northeastern, different areas of our country, and pursued different callings and obsession. But ultimately, what did they lead to? A more equal country where oppression is the least. Yes, that was the common goal they came down to. What unites them was first the courage and fearlessness they displayed in their personal lives. Second, the depth and duration of their commitment to their new homeland. They were, most of them, in fact all of them, worked till their last breath, and their impact is still seen. So they were fearless and they were relentless as well. They never stopped. And third, the contemporary, indeed timelessness of what they lived and struggled for. We can still see that it's never ending. So many years after the last of these rebels passed on, what they did and what they said still speaks to Indians today, and that is why it's called timelessness here. What is the tone of the author, everyone? What is the tone? No, it isn't. There's no lag. Yes, the Chipko movement. Exactly, Shrishti. Very good. What is the tone? And now you guys know why did I miss that article on politics and it took up this article. The Asiatic Society. Yes. Absolutely praiseworthy, laudatory, appreciating, applauding, reverential. All the positive tones are going to be used here. Yes. No. It cannot be descriptive. It is all praises about these 7 people. It is laudatory, praiseworthy, ebullience, glorifying, reverential. All of these are synonyms to it. Okay. Now, if you guys remember, yesterday I had taken an article on trees and forest cover. And then there comes a news that our forest cover has increased. Good thing, very good thing. Yes. But there's a hitch here. What is the hitch here? Let's understand that. Hannah? Exactly, Tanishka. That was common in them. Appreciating. ये सब synonym हो गया. तो देखो बहुत अच्छी चीज है that in the 17th edition of the biennial report released last week shows that India's forests have increased by more than 1500 square kilometer between 19 and 2021. So between this time period, our forest cover has increased by 1500 square kilometer, right? And 17 states have a forest cover of more than 33%. Such a brilliant news. We should be happy about that. But we should not be, because it's a deceiving data. It's a deceiving data because the amount of naturally occurring forest cover has reduced. This increment is because of we planting trees. But naturally occurring forest का cover तो reduce हो रहा है. अब naturally planting trees में farms भी आ जाते हैं. So यहाँ एक contrast है. Contrast in the definition. So it's actually something we shouldn't be very happy about. Let's understand this article, everyone. Okay? Yes, इस पे GK question आ सकता है. So, a closer reading of the report, however, shows area of serious concern. This country, India, has lost more than 1600 square. इस जितना gain किया ना उससे भी ज़्यादा तो हमने natural forest का area lose कर दिया है. The loss has been compensated by an improvement in the health of some of the protected areas and reserve forest. Okay, that is improved. But ultimately, the area that natural forest cover has been reduced. So, what is the hitch here? The hitch is the definition of forest cover that we are using. What is forest cover? Natural one, man-made one, the one that have improved their health naturally, like the one we studied yesterday about the rainforest. That is the hitch here. But a large part of the increase is due to the areas coming under plantation. The man-made ones, which experts rightly argue are no substitute to natural forest. Can you substitute natural forest by planting trees on your own? No, you can't do that. We studied that yesterday. When it comes to providing critical ecological services, only a natural forest can do that. A plantation cannot do that. Thus, it is still a matter of concern here. In 2017, the Food and Agriculture Organization FAO slotted all plantations other than oil palm trees in its definition of forest. He said, oil palm trees, remove them. Apart from that, every plantation will come under the definition of forest. So now the definition actually becomes a little vague because we don't know if you're referring to natural or man-made forests. The classification attracted much criticism and more than 200 scientific bodies, conservation agencies and NGOs, they urged that change how you define forests, change the definition of it. Plantations are typically composed of even-aged trees, obviously because they are planted at the same time. You plant them. So they are even-aged trees and they are of the same species, and that's why it's called a plantation. एक ही तरह के tree एक farm में consecutively plant कर दिए. That's plantation. But a natural forest is nothing even close to that. They are not even-aged. They aren't of the same species. That's why it's a natural forest. Such monocultures do have economic value. Of course, because later on we can chop them off and use them for our own benefit. They have economic value. They have limited utility as carbon sinks. Because the more diverse a forest is, the better utility it has in terms of carbon sinks. But they cannot be compared to natural forest in harboring biodiversity for aiding pollination or as a source of water bodies. When there are natural forests, you have water bodies. When there are natural forests with multiple species, you know how you've studied that in your schools, how they aid pollination as well. So this definition is still a vague one. What are forests? Please be clear about that. So the loss of more than 1,000 square kilometer of natural forest in Northeast is therefore worrying. I myself, coming from one of the northeastern states where I grew up among I don't even have to tell you that randomly we would see elephants crossing or passing by our homes. Wild ones with tusks. Not trunks, but tusks. And you would see them. It would have been so common. But now, more than 1,000 square kilometer, thankfully to the development that's happening and the industrialization that's happening, the natural forest cover in Northeast has reduced. The ISFR attributes this loss to natural calamities as well as anthropogenic activities such as shifting agriculture, development activities and felling of trees. We cut trees, we make homes, we do development, we make roads. We also face natural calamities which are going to increase if this is going to increase. We know that there's a direct correlation between them. This could have a bearing on the health of aquifers in the region where water scarcity is already a problem. Now, if there are no natural forests, the water is going to be scarce because plantation wouldn't be able to sustain that. Natural forests would. And since there are areas where the water is already low, it's going to aid on to that. Yes. So the loss in the forest cover of some of the tiger reserves, including the Sundarbans, should also be a cause of concern. So apart from Northeast, Sundarbans, for example, apart from other tiger reserves, and that's why you see, tigers sometimes becoming termed as man-eaters, where they actually probably aren't man-eaters, but this happens because their territory is reduced and they come out of their territory into areas which are inhabited by humans and they are being termed as man-eaters. And that's why Sundarbans are full of them. The FAO has clarified that its definition of forest. Now, obviously, हमने उनको criticize किया था because of their definition of forest, but they have clarified this. What did they say? They say our definition of forest is an aid to data gathering and should not be seen as a conservation yardstick. So clarification तो दे दिया है कि हमको सिर्फ data collect करना है about plantation and natural forest. So we use a common term forest. But you should not use this term to define conservation, an indicator of the ecosystem of our country. This caveat, this warning given by the FAO has not been totally lost on the authors of the latest ISFR. Policymakers should do well to read the report's fine print and not be lulled into complacency by the report's general conclusion. Ki, oh wow, it's good, 1,500 square kilometers, increased forest cover. Please don't draw this conclusion. Understand there's another part to it. And the part is that natural forest cover has reduced in the country's net forest area. What's our tone of the author here, everyone? What's our tone? Okay. So, yes, it is. It is Rishti. World's largest. Wish to visit it someday. Yardstick is a basically thing through which you measure something. A benchmark could be a yardstick. Measurement के लिए. Critical. Instead of critical, is it not analytical? Is it not analyzing the definition? Is it not analyzing how the definition is vague? Or is it completely aiming at criticizing our forest cover? Think of it. Choose one carefully. Is it critical or is it analytical? By the time you think about critical or analytical, let me tell you one thing. Yesterday, I had taken my second class on strong and weak arguments. It went supremely good, thanks to all of you. Today is my third class on strong and weak arguments. Where am I going to take that? I'm going to take that class on BYJU'S Exam Prep BBA YouTube channel. So search for BYJU'S Exam Prep BBA on the YouTube search bar. You will find this channel. Subscribe to the channel. Set a reminder for the video. This class comes live at 12:30 again. I would want you to watch the first and the second class before you attend the third class, although that's recommended. But even if you don't do that, I would highly recommend that you attend this class. This kind of question is highly visible in ALET and would also aid on to strengthening and weakening the argument questions, which I'm going to take as the next series next week. Okay. Apart from this, 6:30 p.m. today, I am going to come live on our app where I will help all of you figure out a strategy, a plan, a timetable for the next 3 months. How are you going to deal with the next 3 months? What should your plan be? What should you be doing for the next 3 months? Everyone, this is going to happen on our BYJU'S Exam Prep app for CLAT at 6:30 p.m. Everyone, do not miss out on this, and trust me, this comes from a lot of experience. You follow this, there's nothing that can stop you from achieving your dream NLU. 3 months plan, make sure you don't miss out on it. Okay, so duration half an hour, 12:30 class. 6:30 class, duration half an hour. Okay, so the answer here, I think I would still choose analytical over critical as the tone of the author. Okay, now I'm going to share today's Hindu and Indian Express and we'll see what are the important articles that we need to read today from Hindu and Indian Express. So stick with me for 5 more minutes. We'll quickly sum up those articles and then we'll move to the next class, everyone. So here we go with the Hindu and Indian Express. माहिता एनालिटिकल में होता है, रुको मैं आपको समझाती हूँ, रुको. Can I take another class on tone of the author to explain analytical, बच्चे? माहिता? Let me open up the Hindu. Here it is. I hope it is visible in the... Every day this happens. Here we go. Now let's see what articles should we be reading. Chance and change. छोड़ देना, कोई पॉइंट नहीं है इसको पढ़ने का. Just a minute. This is 18th newspaper. Just a minute. Oh, here it is. Skim through it. If you are not comfortable with economy, please read this thoroughly. Oh, sad. I'm actually really unhappy with what is happening with him. Read this. Don't read this at all. Not at all. No, leave this as well. आज हिंदू को क्या हो गया है? So much of politics. So much of politics. Okay. Let us look at the next one. Yes. इसको skim कर सकते हो आप? Yes. Read it like a story, okay? Make picture in your mind. Preventing genocide. Yes. I think I'm going to take it tomorrow. ठीक है? But I just don't like taking this name. I'm going to take this article tomorrow. Yes. Text and context. Yes, please read this. Skim this. Do you think you should be reading this? Do you think a reading comprehension, let me see if you've understood this or not. Do you think reading comprehensions can be framed on this article? Am I still doing yesterday's newspaper? No. This is today's newspaper, bache. I've moved to today's newspaper. Yes, absolutely yes. It can easily be framed into a reading comprehension. Muskan, you'll have to buy the online subscription of the newspaper. I think I'm going to take this tomorrow. Very interesting, yes. Okay, let's look at the opinion page of Indian Express. Swami Prasad Maurya's Skylab. No. AAP's declaration of CM candidate. No. What the budget needs to do? Yes. Please read this. Pakistan's geo-economic transition? No. The lost daughter is about the crushing responsibility of conforming to one norm. Yes. To cry persecution in missionaries of charity? Skim through it. M.K. Prasad, voice of Silent Valley. Skim. Why do Indians do so well abroad? Should I be taking this? It's one of my favorite topics. Very important. The virus is here to stay. That's all from and the explained page. Yes. Read this. I think that is all from the every other article is yesterday's article. Only this is the new one. That is all from these newspapers, everyone. I shall see you live on the BBA YouTube platform at 12:30 then, everybody. Thank you so much and have a very good day. My headache has subsided a little. Thank you so much, everyone. God bless all of you. Bye, everyone.